Okie dokie. So now we're live on Facebook. Let me just switch over to the right one. All right. Okie dokie. All right. So it's 10 o'clock here in Australia. For those of you who are regulars, you'll notice that I'm not in the office today. Today is day 7 of our family in quarantine. My wife, Kim, has COVID. She's all well. Everything's fine. But we've been in quarantine for the last week, and today's my last day. So I can't leave the house. I haven't left the house in a week. And tomorrow, thankfully, if all of us are clear, and so far we are, we'll be able to leave the house. But right now I'm making do. So I've managed to add a second screen so that I can keep an eye on the chat and show the slides all at the same time. I'm just using an old TV propped up on a couple of bench stools. So I might take a photo of my arrangement and share it with you because it's a little bit funny. Let me do that before I forget. So yeah, I'll share that later on Facebook. Yeah, we're all well. Thank you, June. It's just, yeah, it's all good. We're all fully vaccinated, and you know, Kim has basically had a bad cold, and you know, we're all hopeful that over the next 24 hours, where nobody's going to show up with COVID, and that will make it so that we can leave again. Those of you that have your screens going, I'm just going to stop them. It's not personal. I just find it really, really distracting when there's someone else pops up on the screen. So I'm just closing those down. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so let's jump into it. This is a really interesting topic, and I know a lot of people struggle with it. And I think one of the reasons people struggle with it is because they overthink it, right? And I'll explain that in a minute, but I really think that a lot of people overthink emails. And, you know, I probably am guilty of this in the past too. And one of the things that I've learned over time is that the more yourself you are, the more open and honest and simple you are with your emails, the better response that you get from your fans, right? Because at the end of the day, the emails to me serve 2 purposes. Number 1 purpose is emails are there to build relationships with your audience, to engage your audience, and to find ways for your audience to get to know you and your art better, right? The other reason for emails is simple. You want to sell more art, okay? But selling more art comes from people getting to know you. And, you know, if you've been in any of these webinars before, you will have heard me say 100 times, relationships, relationships, relationships. Everything is about relationships, okay? So when it comes to writing an email, what do you do to help you build relationships and to help you get closer to that next sale, okay? And that's what I wanted to talk about today. And I think, you know, as with a lot of things, we get distracted by the shiny things, and instead of focusing on the things we need to focus on, we're focusing on shiny things. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So if I can get this all working properly, we're going to jump into the next slide. Okay, so number 1, unsubscribes. 2, email open rates. Subject lines at work. And I just want to take some time to demystify emails a little bit. Okay, so let's just start with the big one, unsubscribes, right? Now, a lot of people freak out by unsubscribes, and honestly, I think they are a blessing, right? And let me explain. So unsubscribe is definitely not a dirty word. It really is someone telling you that they're not part of your tribe, right? And the thing you want is more people on your tribe. So if they tell you that they're not part of your tribe, then that's cool, because that means you don't have to waste any time or energy engaging with that person, right? You can move on to those that are. Okay, so when it comes to unsubscribes, I'm firmly of the view that if you're not getting unsubscribes, then you're not engaging, full stop. And let me explain that. What you're trying to do is make your fans passionate about you and your art, right? Now, passion works both ways, right? You can be passionate about loving something and you can be passionate about hating something, right? And both of those things you need to succeed. And what I mean by that is that when people aren't passionate, people are just like, oh yeah, that doesn't help you sell art, right? Because people need to get excited. And if you're making people excited, you're also upsetting people or pissing people off, okay? And that's a great thing because it means you're finding your people, okay? So if you're not getting unsubscribes, then you're probably not getting people engaging with your work, full stop. So once you start seeing unsubscribes, to me, that's a sign that people are going, okay, this isn't for me, and they're walking away, right? And that's a good thing. So just accept that you're going to get unsubscribes. And honestly, I don't monitor them, right? What I care about is in the month, did I get more subscribers than I lost? That's all I care about, right? And as far as that's concerned, that's as deep as I go when it comes to unsubscribes. More people joining me than are leaving. That's all that matters, okay? As long as you're continually growing, that's as deep as I get with unsubscribes. But I really think it's important to evoke passion from your fans, and passion, like I said, works both ways. It's good and it's bad. So you need to have a bit of both for you to be growing your art business, okay? And I hope that makes sense, but I really believe that driving people to unsubscribe is a good thing as much as it is for people to subscribe and to engage with your work, okay? And I really mean that the fact that you need to upset people. Now, I'm not saying you go out of your way to annoy people, right? But we all know there are people in our lives that we love, there are people in our lives that we loathe, and there's people in between, right? What you want to do is just be yourself. And when you're just being yourself and you're not trying to make everybody happy, then you're going to attract the people that are really interested in you and your work, right? So when you're not trying to make everybody happy, you're just being yourself and you're doing your thing the way you want to do it. Some people aren't going to like that. And that's what I mean. That's the thing that makes unsubscribes good, because they're not your people. So just accept it and move on. Don't waste any more time or energy on it than that one question, are there more people joining me than are leaving me? And as long as that's the case, then that's the end of it. As far as I'm concerned, you want to evoke passion from your audience, and evoking passion means you're going to lose people as well as gain people, okay? So, just keep it that simple, because anything more than that, I really think you're overthinking it, and you're getting distracted by a shiny thing. And in this case, unsubscribes can be a shiny thing, okay? So let's keep going. And, I'm happy to answer any questions along the way. If anybody comes up with something specifically, I can see questions right now, which is good. I didn't think I would be able to do that, but I am. Okay, so like I said, you can't please everyone. So don't try, just be yourself. Focus on telling your stories and evoking passion from your fans and your collectors, your buyers and your fans, right? The passion is the thing that's going to sell more art. And the ones that aren't passionate about you, they'll ignore your emails or they'll unsubscribe, right? And that's just normal. And it's just the way life is. And honestly, I really think if you're not getting unsubscribes, then you need to change something, okay? Because it means that you're not evoking passion, all right? Because passion, like I said, works both ways. Right. So email open rates. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, I don't look at mine. I don't have time for it, and I'm not that interested. What I'm interested in is how many people respond or react to an email. All right, now let me explain that. So I don't go into MailChimp and look and say, okay, well, only 20% of the people open my email today. What I do is look at my inbox and see how many people have replied to me and the sort of responses I'm getting in replies. Also, I look at how many people have visited my website and how many people are adding to cart or purchasing, right? They're, to me, far more important than the email open rates, okay? Now, obviously, if your email open rates are really, really low, then you want to monitor them because you want to improve, right? And I'm going to talk about what you should be monitoring and how you should be monitoring in a little while. But honestly, the key is that an email is part of a big story, okay? One email isn't going to change your life. 52 emails in a year will change your life, all right? There is no one email that's going to go from, okay, I'm doing okay, or I'm not selling anything, to all of a sudden I'm selling 1 million prints a year, right? It's not how it works, right? You plant that acorn, you water it, you nurture it, and over time, as people get to know you, the tree grows, okay? And it's that, to me, it's that simple. And I think it is, when it comes to open rates, don't overanalyze it, okay? And if you're going to analyze it, don't compare yourself to other people, compare yourself to yourself. And I'll explain that in a little while. But I think that that is also a trap where, you know, and I see it all the time. People go, well, this person just sold $5,000 worth of art. Their art's not nearly as good as mine. Why are they selling and I'm not selling, right? It's not how it works, okay? And I can tell you, I know for a fact there are tons of mediocre artists out there that are making 6 figures and beyond. And then there are brilliant artists that can barely feed themselves, right? It's not about the art. It's about the relationships that you build. And if anything is more important than relationships, I don't know what it is. It's relationships, relationships, relationships. Relationships sell art. People need to get to know you, your work. And once they get to know you, they get to trust you and even fall in love with you and your art. That's how you're going to sell more art. Okay, relationships. Okay, so open rates. Don't get hung up on them. Really, really, they can be such a distraction. You're so focused on that, you're not focused on the people. And, you know, my message always is forget the numbers, focus on the people. And this applies here. So if you send an email out today, what sort of responses did you get? What sort of replies did you get? How many people, go into your stats on your website, how many people visited your website today from that email? How many people added to cart? How many people purchased from that email, right? Now, it's not just today. And this is an important thing. And this is one of the reasons I don't dive too deep into the stats. I'm not looking at today's results. I'm looking at this month's results, this year's results, this week's results. One day, again, isn't going to change your life. It's the combination of the week, the month, the year that will change your life, right? So if I send an email out today, then I expect to get responses over the next week, right? Now, I had literally had someone reply to an email 3 years later. Okay, so just because someone didn't reply to an email today doesn't mean that they're not going to reply. Okay, it's people, every single person that follows you, that is engaging with you, that's on your email list, is going to reply and respond to you in their time. So don't force them to try and work on your timetable. Okay, let them get to you in the position and the timing that works for them. Okay, right. So let's just have a look at what a good open rate is, and then I'm going to show you how you can understand where you're at. Okay, so honestly, anything over 20% I think is fine. 30% is amazing, right? You're not going to get those numbers every time you send an email. So don't worry about every single email. Look at what your average is and aim to improve on your average over time. Okay, and I'm going to show you that average in a minute and how you can find it in MailChimp. but it's the average that helps, okay? Not the overall individual email. Remember, one email doesn't change your life. It's the 52 emails that you send in a year or 60 emails that you send in a year that's going to change your life, okay? So just remember that. And remember that most of your emails, almost all of the emails that you send, so maybe 90% of the emails that you send in a year should be purely romance, telling a story, okay? Not trying to sell. And I know I've said this before, but I keep repeating because I think it really is important. The best way I've found to sell art is to stop trying to sell it. And by that, I mean, I don't want to be a car salesman. I just want to be a person telling a story. And when I'm a person telling a story, I get people buying stuff. When I try and be a car salesman and push discounts, promo down people's throats, nobody buys, okay? And I've had to learn that the hard way. The second I stopped trying to sell, my sales went up, okay? Okay, so John's asking the question, is it 20% for the initial email or the resend, right? I think if you can get 20% for your initial email, that's great. But even if you can get somewhere between 20 and 30% for the total open, between your open and between your initial email and your resend, that's fine with me, right? At the end of the day, I don't monitor the two of them separately. I just look at my open rates, but I don't monitor them, right? And I really don't follow these. And today, preparing for this webinar, I had to go in and have a look because honestly, it's not on the top of my agenda, because what I really care about is replying to those emails and engaging with those clients who are interested in purchasing because they've commented and they've gone that next step. So let's walk through some of this, but we're going to talk about subject lines. I said I'd talk about subject lines. So let's get those out of the way, and then we're going to talk about the stats and how I look at them. Okay. Now, when it comes to subject lines, what I found is the more informal the subject line is, the more engagement, the more open rate I get. Now, I really mean informal. Okay, so I'm going to show you some examples in a minute, but I think the trick is really simple. There's no magic subject line, and I want to be unequivocal about that. There is absolutely no subject line that is magic and that will work for you every time. And even if it worked today, it's not going to work next week if you do the same subject line every week in, week out. People are just going to get bored with it, right? So you have to change your subject line every week, every time you send an email. So there's no magic formula. The trick that what I found is to be as informal as possible, keep them short and sweet, and try and evoke a reaction in the subject line. And let me show you what I mean by that. So now, if you're using MailChimp and you're using methodology like ours, so you're collecting as many as you can first names of your subscribers, then you can actually personalize the subject line. So you can put in there, hey, Steve, hey, John, hey, Mary, hey, Carol, hey, June, right? You can personalize your email. So it's, hey, Steve, did you see this? Now you'll notice with that, I haven't put a question mark on the end of that. Now that's really important, and we're going to come to that in a minute, but never, ever put a question mark in the title of an email. It will go to spam, okay? So I use ... Hey, Steve, did you see this? It's still asking a question. People will still understand what you mean, right? But it's really informal. You can see the only place that I've got capitalization is in the person's name, right? That's another reason. And the reason I do it this way, and this is what I found, is if I'm just writing an email to a mate, I'm just tapping it out on my phone and pressing send, right? I just type it up really quickly and press send. That's the sort of thing that gets people opening an email, right? Looking really formal, like you've just sent an email to a friend, okay? So this is what I'm working on right now. So if you're a painter, showing them what's on your easel this week, right? This is what I'm working on right now. Have you seen this, Steve? Have you seen this, June? Have you seen this, Christina? Have you seen this, John? Right? The idea is that if you can personalize it, do that. Remember, don't use the question mark. Now, I've included thanks because I'm going to show you an email in a minute. It's the most opened email recently. And the subject line on the email was simply thanks, THANKS, nothing else, all right? Got the best open rate of anything in recent history for us. So I'm going to show you that email, but it was a really, really simple subject line. Again, did you see this? Can you help? Right? You can ask a question in the subject line. Just don't use the question mark. Use the ... or just leave it empty. Right? Just put, can you help, without anything else behind it. Right? But simple things like this, and I'm sure if you sat down and thought about it, you could write 100 of these. Right? And then you've got some stuff to go get through it. Carol, grammar police, yes. But again, go back to my original conversation, right? What we're trying to do is find our tribe, right? The people that love us and our work. And when we're doing that, we've just got to be ourselves. Now, if you're really, really good with grammar, then make it really formal. But if you're not, right, what I want you to do is think about writing an email to a friend. And how would you write that subject line if you're just writing a quick email to a friend? Angela, okay, so I'm going to get to that in a second. So let me just get there, because I think that's a really important question and I want to walk through that. Okay, so the key when it comes to subject lines is keep it simple, keep it informal as you can. I personally don't use punctuation, or do use as little punctuation as possible in a subject line, because I want it looking like it's coming from a friend. And I also don't use a lot of capitalization. Okay, so keep it really simple. You can see there's no capitalization there at all, except for those two names. Okay, and I really think it's important to just be yourself and do it as simple as possible. Casey, do I send resends to every email? Not every email. So every normal romance email, absolutely. So every week I send an email, and 2 days later I follow it up for unopens. If I'm in the middle of a sale or an announcement period where I'm running a big promotion, then I will resend to some of the emails, not all of them. Otherwise, what you end up doing is sending an email every day to some people, and that's too much. So, you know, I do the resends when it's appropriate, but for the most of the time. Yeah, if you guys use perfect punctuation all the time, then absolutely do it. But what I would like you to do is just experiment, okay? Try one without, because I want you to see if there's a difference. Because at the end of the day, the only goal of a subject line is to get the person to open the email. Now, this is really, really important. The only goal of a subject line is for the person to open the email. So I don't care what's in the email. There's no point having a great email if nobody opens it. So if you can find a way to get someone to open it, then do it. End of story, okay? It's really, really important. Yes, you can use emojis. I wouldn't go heavy on the emojis, Nancy, because the more emojis, the more chance you have of things not working. You know, sometimes emojis don't work across platforms, all that sort of stuff, but absolutely use a couple of emojis, but you know, 2, 3 tops. Never you go a whole emoji subject line. It'll just get filtered, okay? So let's talk about that. So the question was asked, why don't we use a question mark? So, you know, we'll skip right down to that. Don't use any special characters in subject lines, okay? Hashtags, pound signs, stars, dollar signs, those sorts of things, they generally get filtered by spam filters, okay? So if you put dollar signs in your subject line, or you put question marks in your subject lines, then there's a good chance then it will just go straight to spam. And that's defeating the purpose, because the whole point of a subject line is to get someone to open the email, right? No more, no less than that. Okay, so my tips are really, really simple. Keep them simple. Do not have a 50-word subject line. 5, 6, 7 words tops. Keep it really, really short and sweet. I personally don't use caps or punctuation as much as I possibly can. because I want it to look like an email from a friend. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I personally get somewhere between 100 and 200 emails a day. When I look at my inbox, the first thing I do is I actually delete all the stuff that's just an email, a marketing email, all right? And if it looks like a marketing email, I don't even look at it. It just goes into it just gets deleted, okay? So what you need to do is put yourself in the mind of your potential buyer, collector, and go, okay, what am I going to do to get this person to open this email, all right? So don't get precious on subject lines. Focus on what works for you and experiment and try different things to see if you can. Now, I like to include their first name, but only sometimes. I don't do it every week, right? So maybe 1 or 2 weeks a month, I'll include their first name. But I certainly don't do it all the time because, again, if you do something all the time, it just sort of gets blocked out and people, people will filter it. And, the subject line is all about getting someone to open the email. Okay, I find that being really, really casual in the subject line works. So try it for you. And if you're normally really perfect punctuation grammar, you might find that someone replies to you because you haven't had perfect punctuation and grammar, and it starts a conversation, all right? At the end of the day, you want people to open it, and then if you can, start a conversation. So anything you can do to start a conversation is a good thing in my mind, okay? So remember those special characters. Don't put special characters in the subject line. It's just going to go to spam. Only goal, get them to open the email. That's all. The subject line is to get them to open the email. I've said all of these things before. I think the one thing that really is important is be yourself, okay? Don't try and be someone else. Don't try and look like you're a marketer in a big team with 50 people behind you. You're an artist working really hard to grow your business yourself. So be real, okay? Be yourself and share that. And, like today, like I'm in my front room of my house because I can't be in my office. So tell the story about why, right? It's important. It's all part of the story that you're trying to tell. The goal of your emails is to help you take the next step in building a relationship with your fans, your followers, and your customers and collectors, okay? So anything you can do to help build that relationship, do it. Okay. When it comes to actually writing an email, I really think that it shouldn't be fancy. It shouldn't have this perfect marketing template that looks amazing with all of these, bells and whistles that you would get if you were getting a marketing email from Facebook or from Google or some other big company, right? You're an artist working hard to try and make a living, okay? So you need to be real and you need to be yourself. So don't need to be fancy. And I'm going to show you some examples of some emails that we've sent out recently. They're clean, they're simple, but there's nothing fancy about them. There's no tips or tricks built into them. There's no wonderful ways that we're going to get 1 million people to open the email. We're just being real and trying to be consistently real all the time, okay? I find that 2 to 3 paragraphs works really well with a couple of photos. You might find the 4 or 5 paragraphs works better for you. 1 photo, 10 photos, I don't know. But the trick is to experiment and find where your happy place is for you and your fans, right? And then experiment with it. Try a little bit more, try a little bit less. Try sending an email. I've sent emails out which are literally 20 words. Okay, I haven't got one to show you today because I couldn't find one, but you can send out, if it's a powerful email, it doesn't need to have a lot of information in it. Okay. There was one we sent last year and I showed the example last week as a Facebook post, but we sent it as an email too, which was, we were looking at the cover for one of Natalie's calendars. So we had 2 images that we'd shortlisted. And when we put a Facebook post up, but we also sent an email to Nat's fans and said, hey guys, this is the 2 images shortlisted for the cover of the next calendar. Which one do you prefer? Just hit reply and let us know. right? That started so many conversations. And it was literally maybe 30 words tops with 2 images. Okay, so it doesn't need to be complicated to evoke a reaction from your audience. Okay, keep it simple, keep being yourself. Casey said, is there a particular time or day that you prefer to send? I think the answer to that question is everybody should have their time or day. Now, I can tell you straight up that with Natalie's emails, we send them at 9:45 every single Monday morning, right? I think the key is that you send it at the same time every week or every second week, whatever your schedule is for your emails, but you do it consistently. It's that consistent work, the thing coming at the same time every week, every 2 weeks. That's what matters. So 9:45 on a Monday morning works for our audience. It may not work for your audience, okay? So try and see what works for you and your audience. Okay. Crystal's got a really good question. I think it's really, really important. Okay, so she said, email content that tells a story. What is the line between a blog and an email text? And should you have both? And can an email be treated like a blog? Okay, so my recommendation is really simple. And again, this is a question of time for most people rather than effort. Okay, so if you've taken the time to write a great email, then there's no reason why you can't add that email as a blog if you need to modify it slightly, but you can write that email and turn it into a blog and add it to your website as well, right? So then you're getting double value out of that single email. So you're sending it to your audience. You absolutely still send it to your audience. You don't send it to your audience and tell them to read the blog. You send the whole email to your audience, okay? This is really important. For those that will find it via the blog, via Google or whatever, then that's helping them find a story, okay, and get to know you and your work a little bit better. So to me, that's 2 uses of an email. Third, fourth use of an email, if you haven't already, share parts of the content of the email, the images, videos, anything you've included on social as well. So you can recycle that one email into a blog, into several social posts. So it's not something that you do once and forget about. You can definitely recycle and use it for other purposes. So absolutely, if you've got the time to be able to add it as a blog, do it. But remember, to me, your email audience, you don't want them to jump through any extra hoops. You want to just get them to tell the story. I used to send out the first 2 paragraphs and then say, click here. But that was making my audience jump through extra hoops that they didn't need to. So now I'll send an email with the full story in it, and then they can, read it. But I'll also add it, if I'm going to, as a blog so that other people can find it, okay? I don't like sending the excerpt, and Deb's just asked that specific question. So no, I don't like doing the excerpt because you're asking your audience, these are people who are already your fans, these are people who are already engaged, to jump through an extra hoop. Don't ask them to do that, okay? I don't understand your question, Ruthie, about extending the subject line into the email. Okay, just explain that a bit deeper. Yeah, John, certainly there is a place for that. So John's asking, which image to give away next month be good? There is a place for that, but at the same time, the whole point of the giveaways is to get someone onto your email list, right? So once they're on the email list, I want to shift the focus from the giveaway to telling stories. So I would much rather, if you're going to ask them a question like that, present a new image, right? Brand new spanking image that you shot last week, and say, hey guys, I've got this great new image, but I don't know what to call it. Tell them the story about the location, how you got the shot, all that sort of stuff, or the artwork, how you created the artwork. And then say, I really would love your help. Can you let me know what you suggest as the name for this new artwork or this new photograph, right? And then just give away a print of that as a thank you to the person who names the print for you or the artwork for you. Okay. To me, that's a much better use of asking a question. Okay. Okay. William, it's Dennis. You get some replies, you answer each with a personal remark, send it, and that's it. How do you reconnect that person again? You don't. You wait for them to reconnect with you. You keep telling great stories and you keep engaging, right? Don't stalk people. Let them come back to you. Keep telling stories, keep engaging with them and keep getting them excited. But then let's just say, I know Dennis has some Beatles photographs in his collection. And let's just say you had someone who really loved one of your Beatles photographs and they replied to you and you found something new and you wanted to share it with them and you go, hey, you could then reply to that person and say, hey, Bill, I know that you love my, such and such Beatles photograph. I just found this one in my archives and I thought I'd share it with you personally. That might be a great way to reconnect, okay? Connect with something that's already happening. Okay, links. Yeah, I don't know about putting links to past emails. I've never even tried that, Nancy. So try it and see what happens. You can see, and I can show you in a minute, you can see what links people are clicking on. So you can see if those are reacting, if people are reacting to those links and go from there. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Ruthie, yeah, the subject line is not a full thought. Do you continue the thought on the email content? Maybe, right? At the end of the day, like I said at the beginning, the only point of the subject line is for them to open the email. Once they open the email, then you tell the story, okay? So whatever you've got to do to get them to open the email, use that and then tell the story. And you can certainly continue the story from the subject line, but the trick with the subject line is to get them to open. Okay. Okay, Nancy, if people are clicking on them, that's fantastic. That's great. So you could do that as with the emails, or you could, if you're getting success for that, what I would suggest is you go and find the top 10 most clicked emails, turn those into blogs on your website, and then drive people to the blogs on your website rather than to the MailChimp website so that you're getting traffic to your website. That would be a huge way to help you grow your business without you end up doing much more work because you've already done the work. You've written the emails, turn it into a blog and drive people to that blog rather than to the MailChimp website. Okay, that's a really cool opportunity for you, Nancy. Okay, so I wanted to show you some examples. So this is the email that we sent out for Natalie on Monday. It went out to 16,800 people. Okay. You can see here, let me go over. So the blue column is the open rate on that particular email. Now that is below average. You can see here, 25% is our average. So 25% of our emails get opened on a weekly basis. We send out emails. And so our average is 25% gets opened. Okay, this email is below average. That's okay. It's February. I know February is a slow month. Okay, so that's the key that I want you to take away from here. Now, unfortunately, because of the way the presentation worked, I had to drop these in as images. I can't jump you straight into MailChimp, but I wanted to show you the actual email. Okay, I think that's really important. So this is the email went out from Natalie's account on Monday morning. And you can see up the logo. Now, let me just show you one. Is that working? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 links. In this email, there's only one that looks like a link, okay? But I make sure that if I put an image in an email, I put a link in it. Okay, so this artwork is brand new. It's not for sale. It's not going to be available as either a print or an original in the next few months. We've got a big plans for this collection, so people can't buy it. But what I've done is, because it's a painting of a wombat, I've included a link to the wombat's gallery on the website. Really simple. Okay, so it's a wombat in the picture. You can't buy that particular wombat, but For those people that love wombats, that link, when they click on that image, it takes them to the wombats gallery. I hope that makes sense, right? If they click on the logo, that just takes them to the website. And then obviously we've included this one here, which is an older piece, which was actually the study for this new piece. So that links, and that links to this product in the store, okay? But you can see here, I've talked about that artwork and I've shown them the artwork, but there's nowhere here where it says buy this artwork, okay? And that's the key. I'm telling a story, and those that are interested will go and they'll click through. Those that aren't interested, they're not feeling like I'm pushing stuff down their throat, right? Trying to sell to them continuously. I'm just telling a story. So I talked about the latest piece, and this it's hard to see on the screen for some of you, but this is an incomplete image. So this is partway through the process. This is the finished product. This is the finished product of the color one, okay? And then we talk about it. And so I've talked about the artwork, and Nat had done 2 progress videos. So they're on YouTube, and these are the links to click through to them, to watch them on YouTube. And then at the end, now we had a special last week. I know that February is a particularly slow month for print sales. We're not selling calendars. We don't have any other things major going on. And January, February, March, I find are really quiet months for selling because you know, people have had Christmas, they've spent lots of money, they're getting their credit card bills, money's a little bit tighter. So not a lot of money gets spent in this period of time. So what I wanted to do was find a way to incentivize people to buy. So I said we had 10 mystery print packs, and the mystery print packs literally cost us nothing. We use the white space when we print because we self-fulfill. So if we print a print and there's a bit of white space, we print some extra prints, okay, which essentially costs us nothing. So these mystery print packs, which have got at least $200 worth of prints in them, maybe cost us $5, maybe 10 at the worst, right? But they cost us practically nothing. So including $200 worth of free prints costs us essentially nothing. So what we've said is if you spend $200 or more on prints, then we will give you a bonus mystery print pack with $200 worth of prints included free. Now, since I did that, we've had 7 orders that meet that minimum $200, but only one of them was close to $200. There was one just sort of $210, $220. But then we've had a few in the $400 range, and we had one just 2 days ago, which was $1,700. So, you know, for something that practically costs us nothing, we've already passed last February's total sales, and today is the 8th here in Australia. So in the first 7 days of the month, we've already passed last year's sales for the month of February, which is fantastic. So it's a really cool option. Because we'd done a few last week, I extended it this year, told everybody we got another 3 print packs. If I end up selling 5, if I get 5 people turn up, I'm going to give them the free, I'm going to give them the free prints if we get 5. So I'm not going to limit it to 10, which is my original plan. I will extend that out. Let me just go back to the questions before I go on to the next email. So when you send an email out announcing the winner, if you give away, do you consider that email for the week? No. Okay. That's a really good one, Hammer. I don't send an email announcing the winner. All right. And in fact, if you read my game plan, I actually don't advocate for that at all. What we do is if we announce the winner, so on the first or second of the month, we'll announce the winner from last month, and we'll do that on Facebook. And then in the next email we send out, in our next weekly email, we put a PS at the bottom, and we say, PS, congratulations to Steve from New South Wales who won our January giveaway of this print, right? So we don't waste an email on announcing the winner because most people don't care, right? The majority of people, all I'm trying to do is build a relationship. So I don't make a special email for announcing the winner. Okay, performance anxiety. Okay. So Carol, my tip is this: sit down, picture a friend or a collector who loves your work, and tell them a story. Write an email to that one person and tell them a story about your latest work or an older work, whatever it is, right? Just tell that person a story. And then instead of writing that email and pressing send to that friend in your normal inbox, go into MailChimp, copy that email into MailChimp, add a couple of pictures and press send to your entire email list. All right. That's the way to write a good email. Just pretend you're writing to a friend and tell them the story. Okay. Forget the anxiety. Just keep it simple. Okay. Angela, let me explain. So we self-fulfill. So when we print, the paper that we print on, our printer that he uses either 24-inch wide paper or 44-inch wide paper. Depending on the print that I need to fill, I've always got some white space in that paper. So what I do is fill that white space with other prints. Okay, so I might have extra copies of the particular thing that they want, or I might do other things, and I'll do everything from 6x4 up to, letter size 8x10, something like that, 8x12. And I just stuff those in a drawer. So they're spare. So if someone happens to order one, they're there, and I can just take it out of the drawer and send it. But they literally cost us nothing because the purchase price of the original ones covered the cost of producing them, and they're just spares. So the idea came last year from, I know many of you know Rick Burke. Rick Burke had this idea where he created these mystery print packs, and it was clearing out some stock that he had. Andy Crawford stole the idea and he thought it was great, and then I've taken it to the next level, and I've actually introduced it as a bump product on the website as well. So it really is something. We don't print. We use a company, a local company. We don't have self-fulfillment here we don't have print partners like you do in the US. Okay, so it's a completely different situation for us. We have a local printer that we print to, and we print 24 inches wide or 44 inches wide, and those are my two options. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you're going to announce the winner, that would be, I see my problem with that, Judy, is what I suggest with a print giveaway, especially if you're running regular print giveaways as per our program, is that everybody on your email list is in that drawer, right? And that's a way to keep everybody on the list. That helps. But yeah, I don't think you need to announce the winner as a separate email each month. Okay. Anyhow, let's move on. So this was the last email. Let's go on to the next one. Okay. So this was sent on Monday. Like you can see here, if we go back to the slide presentation, the open rate 20.8% so far, as opposed to our average, which is 25%. Now, I went back and found our biggest email most recently. Okay, now this email was sent out 2 weeks before Christmas last year. The open rate, 39.2%, well above our average of 25%. So that's fantastic. The subject line, now I told you about this one earlier, thanks. Now, specifically, this email was post the live gallery show that Natalie and I did. Okay, so if we click on the email, you can see here. So we did the live gallery show. So Natalie here sitting in her gallery. I took this photo before we went live. Okay, thank you for joining us on Wednesday for our first ever live art show. Nat and I had great fun. We did a good quick tour in that studio, checked out latest artworks, all of that sort of stuff. If you missed the show, here's a link so you can watch it again. We also have a couple of originals, one hand embellished, and a bunch of prints left over because we created a special live art show website, a page, a sales page for that. And that takes them to the sales page, which let me open it so you can see it. There's still a few items left on it, but I love this sales page because it's a one-click buy now, okay? You can see most of these items are sold. And we had a really good sale. We did $5,000 in an hour, which was fantastic. Okay, so we're planning to do 3 or 4 live art shows this year, and we're going to do them in the months that we know are quietest. Okay, so March, May were our quietest months last year. So we're going to run live shows in those 2 months. And we will do again what we did this year is we did the live art show after the Black Friday sale. So we did it in mid-December with stock that we had on hand that we could ship immediately. Okay. So that's how we do it. It worked really well. We're going to keep growing that. I'd like to do those 3, maybe 4 art shows in a year and see how we go. But you can see that email. It's really simple. And we also were able to share some progress shots for Natalie's latest artwork. And there was a couple of videos, and then there was information about the calendars, which we had some stock left at that time. So that's the email that went out. And that had, 39% compared to 25%. Really, really good open rate. Fantastic. Okay, and one more example. Now, this was the one that went out a week later, and this was our Merry Christmas. This was our final email for the year. Open rate, 30.6. Now, I talked about this earlier, all right? I don't want you comparing yourself to your peers, okay? That's not going to be good for your mental health. For most people, they're not going to get anywhere near 36%. I can tell you we don't. Look, ours is 25, okay? And we're running a 6-figure business. So compare your email to your average. Is it better? Is it worse? If it's not better, have a look at it and see if you can see why, right? See if there's anything you can learn from it. If there isn't anything to learn from it, that's okay. But if there's something to learn from it, take it and try it next time, okay? But keep it simple. Don't try to, compare yourself to everybody else. Compare yourself to yourself, okay? That's the one way that's going to keep yourself sane. Okay, so I'm just going to come back to questions, and then I'll go back to here. Angela, if you wanted to do something like those mystery print packs, you could, if you're selling, if you're using Bay Photo, for instance, through Art Storefronts, you can also log into Bay and use Rose, or you can set yourself up. You could actually not even do that. You can just actually do an order and just order something that's 24 or 44 inches wide that's full of extra prints, right? That's easy enough to do. Let me see. Let me see if I can drag one over. So you're just going to see what we do. So when I place an order, just going to rearrange my screen. I've got a very small screen, which is not what I normally have on days like today. So let me get to an image. Don't do that to me. It's not going to let me do it, unfortunately. My computer's giving me a problem. Let's leave that. Angela, if you want to see how I do it, just shoot me an email and I'll reply back. Okay, let's keep moving. Judy, I don't ask them. I just say, congratulations, you've won. What's your shipping address? Don't ask them. It's the end of the day. If they don't want your work, then they don't want your work. That's fine. Move on. Don't worry about it. Okay. June, I think you're asking about. Let me get over there. That the page for the what's the name? The live art show. That is actually a format that Art Storefronts offer. I can't bring it back, I'm sorry. Maybe I can. No, let's do that. Yeah, I can. Okay, so this is the live art show. Where is it? Here. This is the live art show. That's actually a template. It's a standard template in Art Storefronts. So if you're on Art Storefronts, you can do that. And it's a really cool because it just has a single button, buy now, no options, buy it now. Love it. Okay, 2%. Yeah, I thought it was higher than 2%, but certainly, yeah, if you're doing 20%, 20% is fine. Okay. Okay, so Courtney. So Courtney's asking now. Courtney's question slightly wrong. So let me ask the question. So if you have, for instance, an email address that you're using as your business email address that's just, say, johnlechnerart@gmail.com, right? As opposed to john@johnlechnerart.com.au, which is my URL. It's a better thing to do to use a customized email address, okay? It's easy to do. I use Gmail for all of my emails, but my emails, if you're getting emails for me for this business, for instance, it says john@leadgenforartists.com. That's my email address. I don't send you an email from leadgenforartists@gmail.com. It's john@leadgenforartists.com.au or .com, right? So if you've already got the domain name, to add an email is quite easy. I would suggest you use Google Suite. It's $10 a month, and that gives you access to some storage, your email, and things like sheets and docs and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's the easiest way to do it. And then you can add that to your MailChimp account. There's a few steps to it. It's not something that I do regularly because it can be a bit painful, but certainly, the option of doing that, I would suggest that if you can have an email address that's your domain name rather than an @Gmail or @Hotmail or @Yahoo, whatever it is that you use, that's a much better idea. Okay. The actual steps into doing that, Courtney, it's not something I can explain. There's a lot of steps to it, but Google Suite would be the place I would start. If you just Google Suite, it's like $10 a month. And that gets you one email address plus access to all of those Google software. Okay. Yep. Or you can order anything you like via Rose if you want to, Camilla. So that would be my suggestion if you want to do something like that. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. So here we go. So you can see here, just compare yourself to yourself. Don't compare yourself to this column. 25%, 30%. All right, obviously that's better, that's good, right? This is my parting wisdom. Okay, I really think that as artists, we get stuck on the wrong things. So I want you to just keep focused on a few things, right? Don't compare yourself to others when it comes to stats, okay? It's not fair, especially if you're a newbie, and especially if you're starting out or you're not yet had much success online, okay? Focus on your personal averages and try and beat that. If you focus on the numbers at all, and I suggest you don't, focus on the reactions, not the numbers. Focus on the people, not the numbers, okay? The replies and the actions, the add to carts, the orders, they're far more important than open rates and unsubscribes, okay? It's the action that people take that really, really matters. Now, be yourself. Absolutely critical. If you're going to sell art, you need to be yourself. Okay, that's really, really important. And honestly, it's really okay to upset people, because if you're upsetting people, you're evoking passion. If you're evoking passion by upsetting people, you're also evoking passion by getting people on your team. Okay, and on your team is where you want them. So if you upset a few people along the way, that's a good thing, because it means that you're also exciting other people. Okay. Deb, Rose is just a way that you can order bulk via the back end of Bayphoto. Graphic would have a similar system. It's just a back end order for, set up specifically for photographers and artists. Okay, it's different to what you get through Art Storefronts. Right. So those of you that know me, you know that we help other artists grow their email list. Okay, and this is how we do it. We use lead generation techniques by giving away a print and running ads to it. The reason we run ads is, for most people, they need to find new people, right? If you've got 100,000 people following you on Facebook, then you probably don't need to find new people. We can work with the people you already got following you. But if you've got 100 people following you, 1,000 people following you, or even 5,000 people following you, we need to find new people. And that's why we run ads to grow your email list. Now, the reason we focus on growing the email list rather than growing your Facebook following is you own your email list. No one can take your email list away from you. And even if you get banned from MailChimp, which I heard about someone getting banned from MailChimp recently because they mentioned NFTs, right? You still own the email list. You can download all your data and you can move on. If Facebook bans you tomorrow, even if you've got 100,000 followers, it's just tough luck. You start again from zero if they let you start at all, okay? Whereas an email list, you own the asset. It's yours to grow and to nurture, okay? So that's how we help our clients. We help you grow your email list. We have 3, 6, and 12-month programs. If you'd like to find out more, then I will send you the details in an email. But right now, we're offering last year's prices for 2022. So if you want to get in, you'll save at least $100 on last year's prices, and by getting last year's prices instead of paying the new prices, which we've launched for 2022. No, I'm not going to mention NFTs. I don't know why. Camilla, I know that someone, have a look in Small Wins, you'll see the post about it. I'm not going to go down that path because it's a rabbit hole and we're finishing up now, so I'm not going to go near it. So if you're interested and you would like to book a call, I'm going to put the link in in here in a moment. But yeah, if you're interested in growing your email list and would like some help, I can absolutely help you. This is the special, and I'm going to put that in the chat right now. If you'd like to get in touch, then please click on the link. I will send this as a follow-up in an email in a moment. So yeah, anyhow, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Like I said, we're all well. We're in quarantine, but we're all well. And hopefully tomorrow we're out of quarantine. So I'm excited about that. So thank you very much. Have an awesome day and we will speak again soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.